I've been married to my wife, Paula, who's 36, for 10 years. We have twins, two beautiful kids who are 8 now. For the last several years, I've been a stay-at-home dad. It wasn't something I had planned for my life, but it just made the most sense. Paula got a great job offer to lead a regional office in a bigger city. It came with a major pay raise, so we decided to move. I quit my job because what she was going to earn was a lot more than what I was making. We packed up and moved. At first, I tried to find work in our new city, but it didn't work out, and soon we agreed I should stay home with the kids. It wasn't easy adjusting. I missed the feeling of having a job, working with people, having a routine. But I found peace in the little things: packing lunchboxes, walking the kids to school, helping with homework, even learning how to cook different meals. I also started writing short stories and submitting them online. Some of them got accepted. That felt good. Paula's job is demanding. She works long hours and sometimes has to travel or stay out late. I've always understood that. She's supporting us financially, and I respect her for it. But lately, something's changed. At first, it was small things. She seemed more distant. She'd come home late without any energy left to even talk. When we did get time alone, she was on her phone a lot, smiling at texts she wouldn't show me. We used to laugh together. Now she barely looks me in the eye. I didn't want to jump to conclusions. We've been through so much. 10 years of marriage. 2 kids. Late-night feedings, hospital visits, school projects. We've lived a full life together. So I tried to be patient. I told myself she was just stressed from work. Then one night, everything changed. She was showing me some photos on her phone, pictures of the kids from a trip to the park. But while she scrolled, I saw a thumbnail of a picture that didn't belong there. It looked like it was taken in a club. There were bright lights and people dancing. She was wearing a short dress, holding a drink. And right behind her was a man I didn't recognize, his chin resting on her shoulder like they were close. Too close. She quickly scrolled past, pretending like nothing was wrong. My heart dropped, but I didn't say anything. I waited until she went to the kitchen to make popcorn. Then I grabbed her phone. I found the photo and sent it to myself. Then I deleted the sent message so she wouldn't know. She came back a few minutes later and looked at me for a second too long. I think she knew I had seen something. The next time I checked her phone, the photo was gone. That was when the real suspicion started. I knew I had to be careful. I've been gaslit before. I've confronted people only to be told I'm crazy, that I'm imagining things. I wasn't going to let that happen again. Instead, I started observing her more closely. After I saw that photo and confirmed it had been deleted, something inside me changed. I didn't want to believe my wife was cheating on me, but I also couldn't ignore what I saw. A man doesn't just rest his chin on a woman's shoulder like that unless something's going on. And she looked happy, like she was exactly where she wanted to be. Still, I didn't confront her. I told myself I needed more proof. If I said something too soon, she'd get a chance to hide everything, clean her tracks, and I'd never know the truth. I needed to be smart. So I started paying attention. The next time she said she had to work late, I made sure to memorize every detail. I noted what heels she wore, what perfume she put on, even the color of her lipstick. When she came home around 11 p.m., something didn't sit right. Her shoes were different. I know it sounds crazy, but I swear she left the house wearing black heels and came back in nude ones. That wasn't an accident. Another time, she came home chewing minty gum, which she never does. I kissed her cheek as she bent to take off her shoes and caught the scent of alcohol behind the mint. She claimed she was at the office all night. What kind of office serves tequila on a Wednesday night? I kept quiet. I smiled. I played my role. But inside, my heart was twisting. I didn't want to catch her doing anything. I wanted to be wrong. I wanted to wake up one morning and realize I was just overthinking. But every late night, every new excuse, every changed outfit made it harder to believe that. So I started keeping records. Notes on my phone, dates, times, her outfits, her behavior. I even took pictures of her shoes before she left the house. I felt like a crazy person, but at least if I ever confronted her, I wouldn't feel like I was just guessing. Then came the night everything changed. She told me she had to stay late for an emergency meeting. It was Friday. She said she wouldn't be home until midnight. The moment she left, I called the office line. No one answered. I called again 10 minutes later. Still no answer. So I made a decision. I called a trusted friend of mine, Mike, who lived nearby and sometimes helped us watch the kids. I explained I had to step out for a bit and asked if he could come over. He arrived in 20 minutes. I didn't tell him why I was going out. I just said it was important. Then I drove toward her office. I parked on the street across from the building and waited. An hour passed. No sign of her. Then, around 9:45 p.m., I saw her. But she wasn't coming out of the office building. She was stepping out of a cab about 2 blocks down. She looked different. The same woman I'd kissed goodbye earlier that evening was now dressed in a tight red dress, heels that sparkled under the streetlights, and makeup that looked freshly done. I sat frozen in my car. She walked straight into a hotel. Not a bar. Not a restaurant. A hotel. My hands were shaking as I reached for my phone and started taking photos. I had my confirmation. My heart was broken, but my mind was clear. Now I knew the truth. I went home that night numb. I barely spoke to Mike when he asked how everything went. I just thanked him, gave him a few extra bucks for staying longer than expected, and went to check on the twins. They were both fast asleep, peaceful and unaware of the storm brewing just outside their little world. Meanwhile, I was a mess inside. I sat on the edge of the bed that night, staring at the photo I took of her walking into that hotel. I zoomed in on her face, trying to understand who she was. That smile, that confidence, that glow. It wasn't the tired, loving wife who used to kiss me goodbye on her way to work. It was someone I didn't recognize. That's when it hit me. This woman, this version of her, didn't exist in my world. She existed in someone else's. And whoever he was, he had no right. She was my wife. I gave up everything so she could chase her career. I stayed home, cleaned, cooked, raised the kids. I let go of my own dreams just so we could have a solid life together. And now this? No. She had to feel what I was feeling. She needed to understand what she'd done. Not just to me, but to the family. The next few days, I played it cool. She came home that night claiming she'd been in meetings all evening. I nodded, pretended to be half asleep, and let her kiss my forehead. Inside, I wanted to scream. But I had a plan now, and I couldn't risk messing it up. I kept collecting evidence. A week later, she said she had to attend a client dinner. I followed her again. Different hotel, same lie. Same guy too. Short beard. Slim build. I couldn't see his face clearly, but he wasn't just some stranger. They hugged at the door, and I could tell from the way she leaned into him. It wasn't their first time. That's when I decided I wasn't going to yell. I wasn't going to beg. I wasn't going to give her the satisfaction of turning this on me like I was crazy or controlling. No. I was going to end this on my terms. I met with a lawyer quietly, got the divorce paperwork started, explained the whole situation and even showed him the photos. He said I had more than enough evidence to proceed. I told him I didn't just want a divorce. I wanted full custody of our kids. He nodded and said, "Let's do this smart." We agreed to serve her the papers in a way she'd never forget. The next time she told me she'd be working late, I told her it was totally fine. I even offered to take the kids to my parents' house so she could relax when she got back. She smiled and thanked me like nothing was wrong. It made my stomach turn. The night she left, I called a private process server I'd hired and sent him the hotel's location. I followed her one last time. I waited in my car, parked across the street, heart pounding. At exactly 9:30 p.m., she walked into the hotel lobby, arm in arm with the same man. And 5 minutes later, as they were laughing and checking in at the front desk, a man in a blue jacket stepped in after them. The server. He walked right up to them with a white envelope. I watched it happen. She opened it, looked inside, and froze. And then she looked up, straight at me, because I was standing at the entrance now, watching everything. When she saw me standing there, her face turned pale. Like all the blood had drained out of her body. She didn't say anything at first, just stood there holding the envelope, staring at me like I was some kind of ghost. The man beside her, her secret boyfriend, or whatever he was, looked confused. He asked her what was going on, and she didn't answer. She just kept staring. That told me everything I needed to know. I didn't say a word either. I just looked her in the eye, nodded slightly, then turned around and walked out of the hotel. I wasn't going to make a scene. I wasn't going to fight in front of strangers or give her the chance to twist things. I had said everything I needed to say, without saying anything at all. By the time I got home, I felt empty. Like the weight I had been carrying was suddenly gone, but it left a big hole in my chest. I went upstairs, checked on the kids. They were fast asleep at my parents' house. And then I just sat there in the dark living room. A part of me thought she would try to come home and explain. Or scream. Or cry. But she didn't. Not that night. The next morning, my phone buzzed. It was her. "Paula, can we please talk?" I didn't reply. A few minutes later, she called. I let it ring out. Then she called again. And again. By the fifth missed call, I finally answered. "Hello," I said, voice calm. "Please. Can we talk? Let me explain." "I think the paperwork explains everything," I said flatly. She went quiet. Then she started crying. "I didn't mean for it to happen," she said through sobs. "It was just, he was someone from work. I was lonely. I felt like we were drifting apart, and I didn't know how to fix it. I made a mistake. A terrible one." I let her speak. I wanted to hear what lies she'd try to use now. "You made a mistake more than once," I replied. "You lied to me. You cheated. You risked everything we built. And the worst part? You let me sit there every night thinking I was crazy." "I know," she said. "I know. Please, don't do this. Don't end it like this. We have a family." "That's exactly why I have to do this," I said. "Because our kids deserve to grow up watching love that's real, not a lie." She went quiet again. Then, softly, she asked, "Can I see them?" "I'll think about it," I said. "Right now, I need space. We'll talk through lawyers." And I hung up. The weeks that followed were hard. She tried everything, texting me late at night, showing up at my parents' place, even trying to come to the school during pickup. I had to tell her firmly through my lawyer that until we figured out the custody agreement, she needed to respect my boundaries. Surprisingly, she eventually backed off. Maybe the shock of it all finally hit her. The court process began soon after. I submitted all the evidence, photos, the hotel visits, her own messages. The judge saw everything. My lawyer made a strong case that I was the primary caregiver, and that I had provided a stable home for our children. And after a few stressful hearings, it happened. I got full custody. She was granted visitation rights, nothing more. After the court granted me full custody, I felt two things at the same time, relief and sadness. Relief because justice had been served, and I knew I had done the right thing for my children. Sadness because this wasn't how I ever imagined my life would turn out. I had built my world around Paula. Around us. Around our family. Now, it was just me and the kids. The first few weeks after the court decision were rough. The twins kept asking why Mommy didn't come home at night. I did my best to keep things simple. I didn't want to poison them with hate. I told them that sometimes, adults make mistakes, and Mommy and Daddy had decided to live in different homes. They didn't understand it completely, but they stopped asking as much after a while. Paula came by a few times for her scheduled visits. She was polite and careful, like she was walking on glass. I never stopped her from seeing the kids, unless she tried to step out of bounds. I made it clear that I wasn't trying to punish her, but we weren't going to pretend things were okay. I also started doing more for myself. Things I had put off for years while managing the house. I started running every morning, just around the block, but it helped clear my mind. I began writing more seriously, full short stories, not just little drafts. I even joined an online writers group. For the first time in a long time, I had time to think about me. I never thought of myself as the kind of person who could bounce back from something like this. But I learned something important through all of it. I was stronger than I knew. Friends who hadn't checked on me in years suddenly popped back into my life. Some said they'd heard through the grapevine what happened and wanted to support me. A few of them were genuine. Others just wanted gossip. But I didn't care. I had no space left in my life for fake people. One night, a friend from college, someone I hadn't spoken to in a long time, messaged me on Facebook. She said she'd seen one of my stories published online and wanted to say how powerful it was. We started chatting, just casually at first. But the conversations grew longer, more thoughtful. She was also a single parent. She'd gone through something similar years ago. There was no rush between us. Just understanding. And that felt good. The biggest lesson I learned through all this is that love, real love, doesn't hide in hotel rooms. It doesn't lie to your face and sneak around when you're not looking. Real love shows up, even on the bad days. Real love respects the sacrifices you make. It builds trust, not destroys it. I'm still healing. There are days when I miss what I thought we had. And sometimes, when I tuck the kids into bed, I remember when Paula and I used to sit on the couch after they fell asleep, watching movies and talking about nothing. But I also remember the betrayal. The lies. The empty nights I spent wondering why she was distant. And I know I made the right choice. I didn't just save myself. I saved my children from growing up thinking that love means settling for disrespect. I've started to rebuild. And this time, it's going to be on a foundation of honesty, peace, and self-respect. A year has passed since I handed Paula those divorce papers in that hotel lobby. Sometimes, it feels like it all happened yesterday. Other times, it feels like another life. I've changed a lot since then, not just as a father, but as a man. I'm no longer the version of myself who constantly second-guessed his own instincts. I no longer stay quiet just to keep the peace. I learned that peace without truth isn't peace at all. It's just silence. The kids are doing better too. They're laughing more now. They sleep better. They don't seem to feel the same tension that used to hang in the house like fog. I've kept their routine steady, kept their favorite meals on rotation, and we've even started a new weekend tradition. Pancakes on Saturdays and movie nights on Sundays. It's amazing how something so small can make life feel stable again. Paula still sees them on her scheduled days. She's been trying harder to show up on time and be more present. I think maybe she's realized what she lost. Not just me, but the family we built. She's polite, careful not to cross any boundaries. And I keep it civil, for the kids. But whatever feelings I once had for her, they're gone. I'm not bitter anymore. I don't wish her harm. I've just moved on. I now run a small blog where I publish my short stories. It's grown slowly, but steadily. I get messages from readers, some who relate to my writing in ways I never imagined. Writing has become my therapy. And, funny enough, it also became my purpose. I even got invited to speak on a podcast recently about being a stay-at-home dad and how men handle betrayal in silence. It felt good to tell my story out loud, not from a place of anger, but from a place of growth. As for love, I'm not chasing it, but I'm also not running from it anymore. That friend I mentioned earlier, the one who messaged me about my story, we've met up a few times now. We talk about life, about parenting, about starting over. She gets it. She listens. And for now, that's enough. I won't lie, there are still scars. Some nights, I still replay everything that happened. The lies. The look on her face when I handed her those papers. The weight of pretending everything was okay when it wasn't. But scars aren't there to make us weak. They're reminders that we survived. And I did. I made it out. Stronger. Wiser. And definitely more aware of my own worth. So to anyone listening who's stuck in a place where something doesn't feel right, trust yourself. Don't let fear trap you in silence. You don't deserve half-love. You don't deserve lies masked as loyalty. You deserve the truth. And if that truth hurts, let it. Let it break you if it must. Then rebuild. For you. For your peace. For the life you know you deserve. If you made it this far, thank you so much for watching. If this story moved you, hit that like button, subscribe for more real stories. And hey, if you've ever been betrayed, broken, or bounced back stronger, drop your story in the comments. You never know who might need to hear it. Until next time, stay strong, stay kind, and never settle for less than you deserve.